They don't want to shoot things from something. I don't think you should play inside of it. But if it was outside, maybe they would.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to, is this on? Okay. Welcome everybody. Welcome to AmeriStamp Expo. We're so pleased to be here in Riverside and to have the Postal Service honor the show with the first day ceremony for a couple stamps. We're going to begin this ceremony with the national anthem, which is going to be sung by Darnell Lawrence. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. You need to look at the right thing. We're going to start with the color guard, makes sense first. We're very pleased to have the color guard from the 5th Battalion, 14th Marines, United States Marine Corps, the Naval Weapons Station, Seal Beach. Would you please stand so we can present the colors?
Present colors. Present colors.
We're very pleased to have a local Riverside letter carrier, Darnell Lawrence, who's been a U.S. Postal Service employee for 29 years, sing the national anthem for us.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Colors. Ready, two, right, face, forward, up.
Can you see it? Thanks very much to the great color guard and to our national anthem singer. We'll start by actually introducing a couple individuals that we're very pleased to have with us. Linda Crawford, the local postmaster of Riverside, California. We especially thank her for her support of the show and selling material on the floor in all 3 days and helping with the shipment of exhibits beforehand and the return of exhibits afterwards, especially with the holiday on Monday. We really appreciate your support. Also very pleased to have with us, I believe somewhere in the room, John Hotchner, who's a past member of the Citizen Stamp Advisory Committee. The first formal remarks today will be by another member, a current member of the Citizen Stamp Advisory Committee. Cheryl Gons has been very active for many years in Chicagoland philately, did a lot of things there. More recently, worked for the Smithsonian National Postal Museum, with assistant curator, then curator of philately. She retired, less than a year ago, I guess. I think it was the first day of TexPex last year, if I remember correct. She's done a tremendous amount for the hobby. She's an exhibitor herself. I think she was the first exhibitor to win a grand award at a World Series show with a display class exhibit. Known for writing many books and a lot of work related to the Zeppelins and airmail. I think also a past president of the American Airmail Society. So please welcome Cheryl Gons.
Well, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And to repeat something Steve said earlier, especially the significant others in the room who are so supportive to spend their Valentine's Day with their Valentine here. I appreciate that too. How many times have you heard, "Will you be my Valentine?" Just think about that. Do you remember when we were in grade school, we used to decorate mailboxes on our desk and we'd bring a Valentine, sometimes homemade, sometimes bought, for every member of our class and exchange them. And in a sense, we became mail carriers for the day. And we did that. And I actually was kind of out of touch, so I called a couple nieces and said, "Do your kids still do this?" And in fact, every one of my nieces and nephews did that this week. They decorated mailboxes, they either made or brought in their Valentines and exchanged them. And my 8-year-old nephew, Ethan, very proudly told me that he designed an alligator mailbox. So, future engineers coming out of that program. But Valentines have really changed a lot over time. For those active in philately, we know there's spectacular Valentines with 1847 stamps on them and from the Civil War. Some of my favorites come from the 1920s and 30s, have a Zeppelin on them. And it just happens that last Saturday, I was in an antique shop and I found this Valentine, and it says, "Let's play post office." For those of you my age, that has double meaning. But here's the mail carrier delivering a letter, and it says, "To my Valentine in Hartsville, state of happiness." And then, isn't that like so cool? Yeah. And, but today, Valentines have really changed over time. If you're a child today, what are you doing? You're going on Google and looking for the Valentine you want. So I thought, okay, I'm going to play child today. And what does every little girl, almost every little girl today want? She wants Elsa from Disney's Frozen. So I Googled Valentine, Elsa, and of course, they came right up. So now, this is what the new Valentines would look like with kids today. So the exciting thing is, kids are learning about sending Valentines and mail in the schools. Here, where's my next page? So how many of you mailed a Valentine this year? Good number of you, and I did too. I think sending these love notes to family and friends makes both the sender and the recipient so happy. And seeing a lovely stamp on the outside of the envelope, like these gorgeous ones we're going to unveil today, makes us feel great before we've even opened the envelope. So whether it's elderly relatives, soldiers, sick, children, everyone gets excited to receive a piece of mail. And it's such a small cost for us to give such an enormous amount of joy. And I think we have to keep thinking like that and send mail. So I encourage all of you to do that, and you can do it in a variety of ways, as you already know. There's holidays, postcards when you're on vacation, thank you notes. By the way, the stamps today, they put them on little note cards. This is like my thank you note for the next year. It is just so beautiful, and you can get those upstairs as well as the stamps. But the other thing you can do is take a child to the post office and teach them how to mail a letter. How to address an envelope, how to pick out a stamp, put it on, how to put it in the slot. I know that sounds kind of obvious and basic, but it's something that needs to be done. The child receives a letter, they need to know how to send it as well. So receiving this personal mail is absolutely treasured. It inspires people of all ages. And we have an opportunity today to take these wonderful stamps and share the love on Valentine's Day. And just imagine the smiles of your loved ones as they receive an envelope, and the gorgeous flowers are on the outside, and they're anticipating what you've put on the inside. I don't think life gets better than that. So, will you be my Valentine?
Thank you very much, Cheryl. Next up, we have another past president of the American Airmail Society, I believe. He's also an exhibitor, an internationally accredited judge, been very involved in organized philately for many years, and is current president of the American Philatelic Society, the national organization for postage stamp collectors in the United States. Please welcome Steve Reinhardt.
Well, Cheryl's going to certainly be a hard act to follow. Really, good job, Cheryl. You know, today's issue of vintage flower stamps reinforces their important role in society and the U.S. postage stamp program. Flower stamps. Now I got you to listen to the rest of it. Flowers have repeatedly appeared in U.S. stamp designs over the past 50 years. And just as many postal patrons now expect annual holiday issues, they also expect to have at least one flower-related issue as an alternative to a flag stamp. Flowers are a way of recognizing the change of seasons and expressing emotions to others. The rose and tulip shown on today's stamps might be called foundation plants for many home landscapes. You can plant them once, and in many areas of the country, they will return year after year. Usually they are an important part of a garden, supplemented by annuals and other plants. These vintage flowers provide a core role similar to that of the American Philatelic Society in stamp collecting. The APS has been an important organization for over 125 years, but our show of flowers would be incomplete without other bodies, such as the Postal Service, philatelic libraries, dealers, chapters, affiliates, local, national, and international shows, and even the internet, which help paint a more beautiful landscape for the hobby. I'm delighted with the new issue, which will help bring more exposure to the hobby while reminding us that we need to work together with other groups to help the hobby and society thrive for many more years. You know, we have these new stamps, vintage rose and tulip now, and later today we have the sweet berries stamps being issued by the United Nations Postal Administration. Flowers, sweet berries, you know, it must be Valentine's Day. And why not send your Valentine a first day cover of the new vintage flower stamps? Maybe he or she will become interested in collecting stamps. Who knows? So have a wonderful day at the show, And I'm very honored and happy to be here speaking to you today. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Steve. For our official stamp dedication today, we're very pleased to have James Olson, the District Manager of the U.S. Postal Service for the San Diego District. He began his United States Postal Service career about 38 years ago as a letter carrier in Palm Springs. There's 62, or approximately that, district managers in the United States, and he's actually married to another one as well. We're glad in the front row here to have Belinda with us as well, who's the district manager of Nevada. That's the entire state. He only has about half of Southern California. He might have more population though, I'm not sure. I'm not going to get into that battle. His district is though pretty big. He supervises over 10,000 employees, 230 post offices, 3 processing centers, and while it's only half of Southern California, it goes from the Mexico border to Nevada to Arizona to the ocean. So it's a pretty big job. And we're very glad that after about 15 years, he's back for his second first day ceremony. So please help me in welcoming James Olson, the district manager.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation at home about whose district is bigger. I talked to my wife on last week, and she said, so what's up for this weekend? I said, I'm going to take you to pick out your dozen flowers. So in fact, I brought my Valentine's Day with me, so thank you for taking the time. We do a lot of postal events, but she's been my Valentine for about 22 years. So. Thank you, Ken, for the introduction. Thank you all for joining today, dedication of the Vintage Tulip and the Vintage Rose, the newest additions to our popular series of wedding stamps. And the Postal Service supports philatelic events throughout the country, and I'm delighted today to showcase these 2 gorgeous stamps at today's 2015 AmeriStamp Expo. And that's on Valentine's Day. What's a better day, right? All of the stamp collectors and enthusiasts in the audience know stamps are miniature ambassadors of the travels throughout the world. They tell stories of heroism, daring exploration, historic milestones, and extraordinary achievements that make our nation great. Stamps also tell a story of a person's life, which is why they have traditionally been commemorative special events like graduation, births, anniversaries, and weddings. Anyone who's ever planned a wedding, and we did one about 2 years ago, as a husband, I didn't do a whole lot. I know my wife went through it, but as a planning a wedding, there's so many details of the guest list, the flowers, and of course, the invitations. A wedding is the most important occasion, and the invitation that precedes it sets the overall tone for the event to come. Now, I don't know about you, but for someone to send me an electronic invitation does not convey the same significance of the paper and ink received in the mail. The special envelope, the paper, the fancy handwriting, and all say to that recipient that you are important to me and I want you to attend my wedding. And after all time and effort has been put into selection of the perfect invitations and the envelopes, we want to choose a stamp that fits these invitations the best, one that instantly ties the wedding stationery together. As a postal service, we think tulips, traditionally given to the declaration of devotion, and roses, the symbol of love and affection. Add sentiment to the wedding invitations like no other. That's why our new vintage tulips and the vintage rose stamps feature elaborate floral line drawings that were originally created by naturalist artist Maria Simbla Moran in the late 1600s. Today, together, they give couples a choice of 2 beautiful stamps. Both stamps were designed by Jeannie Greco, include small crimson heart that add to the dash of color to the designs that make them a natural pair. Engraving was used in the printing of these stamps both to appeal to stamp collectors who love the look and the feel of engraved stamps and to replicate the look of the actual engraved wedding invitation. Not only do stamps beautify your invitation, they're practical too. Since the 70-cent vintage tulip stamps accommodate the heavier weight of most invitations. You can also use them for other mailings such as oversized cards, small gifts that require extra postage. With the issuance of these two new stamps, the Postal Service is making at least two tasks on the couple's list on the most important day easier. Don't forget to buy enough Forever Vintage Rose stamps for those RSVPs, by the way. Buy them for mailings reserved for such a classic look. In addition to being the perfect way to send a wedding invitation, these stamps symbolize the Postal Service ability to connect home and business across the great nation. So as you celebrate the weddings that are coming up, remember vintage tulip and vintage rose. The perfect extra in your wedding invitation. They travel quickly, easily, and affordably throughout the country. So now, on behalf of the United U.S. Postal Service, I'd like to invite my special guests so we can dedicate these beautiful stamps. Go back. Okay. We gotta get this right. One, two, three.
See, that's the hall. And so when I was looking at the latest
Thanks very much, Thank you all for coming. And one thing I point out, it was mentioned, Mr. Olson mentioned that they were engraved, and this stamp is very easy to feel that it's engraved. If you just run your finger over the stamp, it's very easy to feel the raised ink. Much easier than most stamps. Reminder that, as Cheryl mentioned, there's not only the stamps, but there's note cards that are available. I'm sure the Postal Service in their booth, which is in the show hall at the far left front, would be glad to sell you the stamps, the note cards, or any other U.S. stamps, even if they weren't issued today. And just a second, we're going to try to get our way through the room and out, and there's some autograph tables outside. So we'll be available for autographs. But we want to thank you all very much for coming today. Please purchase stamps. Do we have a question?
Yes, will our singer be one of the signers?
If we can convince him. He's nodding yes that he will sign it. Thank you all for coming to the show, and have a great day, and happy Valentine's Day.